Today we're going to be working on something that's not exactly new. We're just combining what we've done already with factoring and the zero product property to solve a quadratic equation. We're going to start by moving the 4 over to this side of the equation. Your goal is always to make sure that your equation has a positive number in front of the x squared. That means your a term is positive, so we want to move our terms in that direction. We are going to do that by subtracting 4 from both sides. That's going to give us 3x squared minus 4x minus 4 equals 0. Now we're at the point where we can factor. However, when we're factoring equations that have a number in front of the x squared, so the coefficient is not 1, we have to do a couple extra steps. The first thing we do is we find AC. A is the number in front of the x squared. C is the number on the end. AC is 3 times negative 4, and that's negative 12. What we're going to do now is look for numbers that multiply to negative 12, and we're going to see their sum. Numbers that multiply to negative 12, and we're looking for a sum of negative 4. Sorry, that's the other thing. We want them to add to this number. So we're looking for 4, but actually I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to type it because it's going to be too small to see. Looking for negative 4. And it doesn't want to move. Okay, so we're looking for negative 4. Our options are negative 12 and 1, negative 6 and 2, negative 4 and 3. And if you're got your brain turned on, I think we can see that this is going to give us the answer we want. That's going to give us a sum of negative 4, because this will be negative 11, and that'll be negative 1. What that means for us is, when we are writing our equation, instead of writing a negative 4, we're going to write negative 6 plus 2. Just a quick reminder, the reason that this is allowed to be plus is because up here, this is actually 3x squared plus negative 4x, right, plus negative 4. So that is allowed, and because you do stuff in parentheses first, negative 6 plus 2 would give you negative 4. This is allowed, this is fine. Our next step is going to be to distribute the x to both of these terms inside the parentheses. So we're going to multiply by each. We have 3x plus negative, this is an x squared. 3x squared plus negative 6x plus 2x plus negative 4 equals 0. Now we're going to group the terms into 2 groups. I'm just going to go with that to start. Maybe I'll have to change it later. We'll see. I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor, and not just any greatest common factor, the greatest common monomial factor, which means I'm going to have a part that is a number and a part that is a variable in some cases. So 3 and negative 6 looks like the number I can factor out is a 3, and x squared and x, I'm going to factor out an x. The leftovers stay inside. The leftovers are what you multiply this by to get this. So 3x times what is 3x squared? A plain x. And 3x times what is negative 6x? 2. Next. Looks like I can factor a 2 out of this. But just a 2, nothing else. That leaves an x plus negative 2 in here. That equals 0. Okay, last step. we're going to take the part that's in parentheses, and it's going to stay in parentheses, and it's going to move down here. We're going to factor that whole term out of both is what's happening. Then we're going to take the leftovers, and we're going to put them in their own term. 3x plus 2. And that is going to equal 0. So this gets pulled here, and these get pulled here. And now we have two separate terms that are being multiplied that we can set equal to 0 to do our zero product property. 3x plus 2 equals 0, and x plus negative 2 equals 0. This one you just need to add 2 to both sides. So x is 2. The other side, if we subtract 2 from both sides, we have 3x equals negative 2. Divide both sides by 3, and that one is going to be x equals negative 2/3. So these are our two solutions for this equation. When you're done, you're going to want to plug them into the original equation to see if it's true. So I'll start with negative 2/3 squared minus 4 times negative 2/3, and we'll see if that equals 4. Negative 2/3 squared is negative 2/3 times negative 2/3. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. So really what we have is 3 times 4/9, and 3 and 9 simplify to 1 and 3, so that's going to give us 4/3. And if we do 4 times negative 2/3, that's negative 8/3. So we have 4 minus negative 8/3. Okay? Minus negative 8 is positive, so we have 12/3, and that's 4. That's correct. The other number that we had to check was 2, I believe. Yep, we have to check 2. So we have 3 times 2 squared minus 4 times 2, and we have to see if that's 4. 3 times 2 squared is 3 times 4, that's 12. 4 times 2 is 8, and 12 minus 8 is 4. Both numbers check out, and that means that both negative 2/3, and positive 2 are our solutions.